Thank you for joining me today. Good, thank you, biddies. For those that don't know, my name is Teresa Garcia, and I feel extremely stupid saying this so many times, but I am the author of Dragon Shaman and Selkies Skins, and today I am reading installment 25 from my story Selkies Skins in reply and payment to the third backer for the Kickstarter for Selkies Skins, since I did promise. Installment 25 is the second part of Chapter 17. I really do hope you enjoy this. Quills scratched while students took notes, some trying to keep from retching. It was this atmosphere that Kirsty meekly slipped into roughly a quarter of the way through, flashing an apologetic smile and curtsy as she came. She slunk into her seat at his nod. Nice of you to join us after all, McKay. I didn't expect it. Don't let it happen again, though. Valnarius, you will explain what she missed after class and share your notes with Miss McKay. Both nodded, neither responding to the titters from the few Spiralis students that were not muted. The lecture resumed, turning to the use of other human parts in potionry, and the skull began passing around the classroom as he explained its use, bordering on dark magic, but never quite fully slipping in. Blood work in potionry took even longer once he returned to it, and as expected, they were saddled with essays on what other body parts could be used to change how a non-human would react to species-specific concoctions, and why. When the lecture was over, most of the students left as swiftly as they could, little birds flushed out of the grass by the hunter's dog. David, as instructed, explained what Kirsty had missed, casting worried looks over her while she copied his notes and made notes of her own of things to investigate later as well. By the time they were done, Kirsty was rubbing her head. I'm sorry, I had a window pop up. Do you want to go down to the lake? You look like you need to. Yeah, I think I should. Water. He helped her up and gathered both her things in his own, offering his arm. Kirsty took it, smiling tiredly. Her blue eyes took on a phosphorescent sheen, a brief flash of night shining algae or witchfire. Just as quickly, it was gone. Where do you want to try? Somewhere quiet where you can tell me what happened to keep you? A bit later. I'm fine now. So maybe the dock, so I can show Thomas I really am fine. All right. Kirsty and David made their way through the halls and past the great hall's din where students still lingered over meals. She glanced at the doors briefly, worrying her lower lip and sucking slightly. David faltered in his steps when she did, looking toward her. We could pick some sandwiches. She shook her head in reply, smiling and flushing slightly. No, not today. Sooner I've got my feet in the lock, the better I'll be. He nodded and they continued past, out into the courtyard where they stepped from stone and then to sod. Students that had already finished lounged around, some on benches, a pair at the fountain. The pops, bangs, zaps, and curses of the gremlin attempting to break the seal trapping the castle's poltergeist carried down. Kirsty inhaled deeply, savoring the lush, wet scent of growing grass, slightly damp earth, and the water calling from the loch. It sparkled deceptively under the sun, lapping lightly onto the shore and beckoning the more adventurous in. She sighed loudly while the fresh air circulated and cleared out the weight of centuries, intrigues, and negative energy remaining from her odd experience. David smiled at her smile. As good as the sun and wind felt, the light touch of the moisture in the air, and the feel of her hand on the expensive fabric of his sleeve, the strange sense of lack nagged at her. Hey, Squeaky, surprised you can walk. Going to go sob it all out to your boyfriend?" Her hand tightened on David's arm, and she looked down to the ground slightly, pretending not to hear. "Did you really almost get slammed into a wall during choir, McKay? I knew you were bad at singing, but that takes talent to be that bad. I hope the next time they use the toilet it fights back." David barely spared Morven and Morgana his least disinterested gaze, continuing walking. Still, he patted her hand where her fingers dug into him. "Not even going to defend her singing, Valnerius?" Oh, dear. Morven smirked where he leaned against one of the trees. Kirsty's grip dug tighter. "Don't react. Just jealous. Just more of that I'm better because we don't have to work malarkey. Wouldn't last a day doing anything my family has done." "I don't need to, Lilitu. I'm quite pleased by her singing, and I seem to remember a certain unicorn that would have gored you if she had not sung to it. Should have let it. He baited him, except then." David had continued walking, head held high and drawing her with him and breaking off the thought. As difficult as it was, she tried not to dwell and to hold her head high as well. David sighted Thomas and the others first and turned their steps to the docks. That was episode 25 of Selkies Skins. Currently it is being released as a web novel. It will eventually become a print and an ebook novel. There is a Kickstarter running currently where you can help with the funds for getting it edited and getting it printed to be checked. I am findable on Twitter under Amahana Arashi, and also on Facebook you can find my author page. If you continue on in the account that you're currently on, you will be able to listen to episode 26, which was read as a special surprise.